Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are three of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called Mentorship Mastery, a holistic guide for virtuous leaders. I'm going to introduce them to you in just a moment, but a huge shout out and gratitude goes to our lead author, Julie Campbell. Julie, you had such a big vision and mission for this book. Thank you so much for that vision. You have gathered together a stellar group of expert authors to help you present this beautiful topic of mentorship to the world. Man, you guys, this book, it is really phenomenal, an incredible toolkit of not just for mentorship, but for life, honestly. So I can't wait for y'all to get your hands on this. And Julie, we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. So I have some pretty cool people in my Zoom room today, you guys. Donald Vinci is a retired Navy captain and senior utility executive who now serves on several nonprofit boards and is a certified mentor, facilitator, and board member for the Severn Leadership Group. I have Judy Farrell with me. She's a speaker, author, certified coach, and co-owner of Acres Away Farm Stay. Did I get that right, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. She's dedicated to helping others discover greater joy, purpose, and fulfillment in life. And Kristen Whitley is here. She's a certified coach and mentor who specializes in helping women define and achieve their own vision of success. I cannot wait to talk to you all about your beautiful chapters. Judy, we're going to start the party with you. Tell us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Okay, my name is Judy Farrell. I wrote chapter 13, lucky number 13, and it's called So What's the Problem? Getting to the Heart of the Matter. And the reason I wrote this chapter was because so often we think we know what the problem is, often before some like a mentee even finishes telling us what is going on with them or what they're struggling with, and kind of jump to problem solving a little too quickly. Because we have to understand that a problem is not the same as the problem. And so I also realized that part of what might prevent us from getting to the heart of the matter and understanding the problem is that we don't understand the problem fully because we tend to start judging the problem, whether it's worthy or not of our time. And so I wanted to give some tools to either new or growing mentors so that they can not make some of the same mistakes I made early on in both my mentoring and coaching. And just to kind of give a warning and a word of encouragement that mentoring is a lot harder than one might think it is because it requires openness and vulnerability, humility, growth, and most of all, courage.
Oh my gosh, we have to go back to the perspective nugget that you just dropped. Like, you might be judging whether or not a problem is worthy of being solved. Like, let's just talk about that for a minute. That's a big deal. What else do you want us to know about that?
Yeah, so in my chapter, I talk about how I started struggling when I was learning how to coach because the client or the pretend client, it was somebody, a master coach who was giving me a scenario, and I was rolling my eyes and frustrated because they wanted to talk about how they were struggling to download files from their computer, and I immediately was like, oh man, this is not the type of client I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with somebody who struggles with downloading files, like technical issues. But that was not even the problem. That's not what was causing them to struggle. If that was the case, then they should have gone to IT. But that's not what was preventing them from achieving their goal. So I thought I knew the problem, but really I just didn't fully understand what was really going on. And so I started judging, thinking that she was overreacting, and so that prevented me from being able to help her in the beginning. And I really struggled through that scenario.
And this is such a great example. Just kind of talking to our listeners today about how these authors are stepping up in their vulnerability to share real stories with you. I mean, taking a peek behind that curtain of your own process, Judy, is, I mean, that's badass. So thank you for allowing us to hear that story because we can resonate with it, we can see ourselves in it, we can maybe think back to the bazillion mistakes we've made in moments where we wished we would have done or said something differently. But this kind of awareness changes lives, and especially I would imagine for mentorship. Is there anything else on your mind about that?
Yeah, I just would say that it's very disconcerting when you learn something about yourself. I going into coaching and mentoring, I've always been very natural at not judging. And so finding out that I was not as empathetic or as non-judgmental as I thought I was, it's disturbing. And so that's what I mean by it's going to require courage, um, because you're going to learn about things that you really didn't think was true about yourself.
Yeah, really, really powerful. Judy, thank you for saying yes to this project and thanks for being here today. Kristen, I'm coming over to you next. Tell us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Sure. My name is Kristen Whitley, and I wrote Chapter 9, Building Bridges. And the subtitle of that is The Art of Authentic Connection. The reason I wanted to write about that is when I first joined Stubborn Leadership Group, I was initially quite apprehensive about mentoring to begin with. It's so very easy to see the accomplishments of the people that we're paired with and to look at these fellows and say, oh my goodness, this person has achieved a level of accomplishment that I have not, or they're in a field that I don't really know very much about. But with our holistic approach to mentoring, my big lesson was to not be afraid that the key issue is connecting with these people person to person. You don't have to specifically work in their industry, you don't have to have had the same experiences, but what you do have to have is great listening skills, empathy, as Judy talked about, vulnerability, a willingness to share some of your mistakes. And it's actually very easy to make those connections when you're looking at the whole person. You don't have to have industry level expertise. And in the past, before I joined Sovereign Leadership Group, I did naturally try to mentor the people that were junior to me. So, in that regard, I always felt very capable and accomplished to do that, to bring them along. I understood their jobs. I was more senior to them. But then in Sovereign Leadership Groups, sometimes you're paired with people that have very different experiences. And it was so affirming to realize the value that these fellows were placing on these conversations, even though I didn't specifically have the same type of job and I wasn't senior to them in their career path.
I love that you're bringing that piece up. And I think I'm not sure if we've talked about it yet, but when you find yourself in building trust with a human, period, like,
Exactly.
yeah, give us more about that.
So, as Judy was talking about, quite often it's easy to go into a situation and think, oh, I have a great handle on exactly what they need to do, or I understand what's going on. But in reality, you can read a bio or you can look at somebody's experience and you can make quick assumptions about them, that they're a complete professional. They have their life all wrapped up. They're doing great. But we're looking at the whole person, and that whole person is trying to manage a career. They may be trying to manage a marriage. They may be trying to parent. They could have some health problems going on. And those things dramatically impact their performance on the job. And the way that we approach mentoring, we look at that whole person and can help them to bring out the best. So as I said in my chapter, I talk about being paired with a woman who was also in the Navy. She was a professional Navy officer, and she had combat experience. I did not when I was in the Navy. I was largely administrative. So my first thought was, oh my goodness, I don't know that this woman is even going to respect me. But then as we walked through the program together, I came to realize how much she really valued my listening and my ability to share some of my experiences. And it was very affirming. So I wanted to just write my chapter to encourage future people that may be considering mentoring. Yes, you absolutely can do this. The breadth of your life experience is going to enable you to really pour into people that are coming along and want to develop their leadership skills.
I love it, Kristen. Thank you. Thank you so much also for saying yes to this and for sharing today. So, Don, let's pop over to you and hear a little bit about your why.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Well, I'm Don Vinci. I wrote chapter 8, and it's from leader to mentor, give back and change lives. And and really in those few words, it kind of describes my why and a little bit of my journey. For me, I spent, a large part of my career in leadership roles, but really didn't do much mentoring, certainly no formal mentoring until much, much later in my career. And so I started to think about, so maybe there are other people like me out there that hesitated to become a mentor or a formal mentor. What does it really take? Do I have those skills? And as I thought about it more, particularly looking back on my own mentorship experience now, is so much of what I learned and practiced as a leader translates into mentorship. And so for me, it took kind of years of reflection thinking back. There was a couple events in my life that really changed me in a very short period of time. One was a difficult professional disappointment, followed not long after that by a health scare, a life-threatening health scare. And the people that supported me and held me up when I was most vulnerable at that time really changed me. And I knew I had to give back in some way, shape, or form. And so that's what got me into mentorship as one of those ways, in a much more deliberate, planned way. So that's really kind of the why behind the chapter I wrote. When I talked to Julie about writing the chapter, she helped, I told her, I said, I didn't get much mentorship, not formal mentorship early in my career. Later in my career, I had a few that really helped me along. What can I offer? And she helped me kind of say, well, that is your story, Don. So write about that. So that's kind of what took me into writing this chapter.
Well, I love the tie into leadership and also just the encouragement to leaders to even think about this. And it brings me to this thing. I know you'll all nod at me on this one because so many have, but this is also a gift we get being a mentor. There is a reciprocal gift here yeah. Don, tell me more about that piece of it for you.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, in mentoring folks, and you have to practice patience. I heard what Judy and Kristen talked about, some of the eye rolls or some of what's going on in the back of your head when you're hearing some of their stories. But you have to remember they're on a journey, and you got to meet them where they are, and to watch that growth happen as you walk with them through that mentorship journey, it's incredibly rewarding. And for me, like I said, when I think back to the examples in my life where I got that kind of help and that kind of support, whether it was formal mentorship or something else, it really means something. And at this stage of my life, it's incredibly important to me.
So, Don, thank you also. Thanks for saying yes and being here today. I have more gratitude for all three of you, actually. And while I do that, let me just give everybody a quick peek at this beautiful book cover. Um, you know, you put your beautiful, vulnerable stories, real stories into this book. I challenged you to do that, and you did it brilliantly, but then you are all master teachers. And so in the second part of your chapters comes this place where you are offering that experience to me, walking me through a strategy, a tool, something where I can really learn from you. And it's one thing, you do this for people all day long, but it's quite another thing to get it in black and white in a book, to give that reader that kind of experience. And you all just did that so well. Such a gift this book is going to be to so many people, life-changing, really. So, Kristen, what is your very favorite part of being a mentor?
As Don mentioned, I I feel that it is a tremendous gift because um, mostly have found that there was value in my failures. You know how we go through really difficult times in life and we think, oh, I wish I could put that behind me. And oh, I really fell down in that. But then as I have shared those stories with my fellows and shared the stories even in the large group, and realized there's lessons to be learned from that. It truly feels like I've turned something bad and adverse into good, because now I'm able to reflect back on that and hopefully prevent other people from making the same types of mistakes that I've made. And I've made a lot.
Haven't we all? There's value in my failures. Yes, of course. In the middle of the failure and the horrible feelings of it, of course, sometimes we're not thinking that way, but then we get a little space from it and we realize that we've got a perspective that can really help somebody else. I love that piece of mentorship. Dawn,
Another thing, Laura, if
yeah.
I could just chime in, and I think Don and Judy probably empathize with this too, is when you're trying to share your failures with your family or the lessons you've learned, your kids kind of tune you out. So it's really very nice to work with more junior people coming along who are so receptive to some of our experiences.
That is very true. It's tough to mentor your kids, right? And you tend to call your friends and be like, "Can you say that to them because they're not listening to me?" Oh, and then, in one of the interviews, you guys, somebody called it the advice monster. We have to be careful of always, yeah, which I loved. I love that term. Um, okay, Dawn, coming back to you. So, you talked about that reciprocal gift you're getting. What other thing is one of your favorites about mentoring?
Well, I think, you get to know such a diverse group of people. And I've been paired with a handful of people to mentor through the SLG program that I'm a part of. And just seeing where people are at in different parts of their lives, their personal experiences, their professional experiences, getting to know them. So you get to meet and get to know and stay in touch with people from all walks of life. And so that's, particularly now in my own personal retirement, it's nice to keep some of those kind of new connections going and learning. I mean, I learned something. I guess that's the other key thing is especially, the world's continuing to change so quickly. And the folks that I'm mentoring are much better at some things than I ever was. And so you pick up on little tidbits from them about what they're doing, how they're doing it, what their challenges are, which sometimes you can't really identify with. Like the whole world of virtual management is a real challenge. And I didn't have to deal with that much in my career. And so just hearing some of those struggles, it's eye-opening and a learning experience for me as well.
Such a gift, such big gifts there. Thank you. Judy, coming to you for the same question. It's hard to go last on this one. Dawn and Kristen made some really wonderful points, but I know you've got a favorite part as well. Share with us.
I do, and it's similar, I guess, because there are two parts to it. One being that, like, I'm an introvert, which surprises some people because I'm an outgoing introvert. But as an introvert, I love to go deep with people. I don't like superficial conversations, and so mentoring gives me an excuse to go deep with people and truly get to know them, because people are fascinating and their stories are incredible. And so it's such a gift to me when people allow me to know them on that level. So that's one. And then the other piece is I used to say, particularly in the Navy, because there would be some hard things that we have to go through and things would get tough and ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm going to laugh about this later. And that's how I would get through it. I would remind myself that. But there's also wisdom in your failures and your struggles. And it almost feels like a burden to not share that with others. And so now it's, when I'm struggling, I'm also thinking there's wisdom in this and I want to carry this through so I could share that with others. And so mentoring for me allows me to even get through like my daily struggles because I know that there's going to be somebody who could use what I learn that I could pass this on to. And so it won't be for nothing.
Those are some wonderful nuggets of awareness to remind yourself of when you're in the middle of things. I love that. I love those things that you mentioned. Okay, I want to give all of you a chance to kind of get back into your chapter and give us another little golden nugget. You dropped some really powerful strategies, some amazing wisdom in this book. Don, what's the most important thing you want people to know about giving back as a mentor?
Well, like I talked about, my audience is for a lot of people who are in leadership roles or have been in leadership roles and are wondering about, am I cut out to be a mentor? I would tell you, don't hesitate, jump in. If you're a good leader or you think you're a good leader, you probably already are a good mentor. And so I wouldn't hesitate. It's a learning, you'll make mistakes. It's a learning experience like everything else. And it can be a very virtuous cycle, mentorship and leadership. If you're practicing leadership, and then you that will make you a good mentor, and practicing mentorship will make you a better leader. So invest the time. And I wish I had done more of it when I, formally done more of it when I was still working and leading groups. So I wouldn't hesitate to do it. Because it will make you better as a leader and as a person.
Thank you, Don. Judy, what's the most important thing you want us to know about getting to the heart of the matter?
So in my strategy section, I teach the two skills that I think are hands down the most important for mentoring, coaching, and honestly, just being in a relationship with anybody, which is acknowledging and validating. So often we have this curse of knowledge where we know how to do something now, but that's not always been the case. And it's hard to remember what it was like before we knew this thing. And so kind of what Dawn was saying, like we got to go back to um, remembering to meet them on their journey and where they're at on their journey because they are at that place where you were before you knew that thing. And so trying to acknowledge and validate requires you to get to a full understanding of the problem, which allows you to then understand the problem to solve. And then the other piece is just knowing that this is going to feel very awkward and uncomfortable, and it's going to require practice. And these are skills. And so they are something you can learn. And there's no getting around that discomfort and the awkwardness as you're learning them. So again, this is another reason why mentorship requires courage.
For sure. I like the idea that both people are giving each other a safe place to practice. I
Mhm.
like that idea a lot. I think that is really kind of profound. That's why this is such a juicy topic and also just such a life-changing thing. I always joke with people, I think this is big potato stuff. Like, this is it, you guys. This is a big deal. Kristen, you are going to wrap us up today with yours. What's the most important thing you want people to know about the art of authentic connection?
The most important thing is it's not about you and your stories. It is about listening actively in today's environment to have somebody that is willing to pay 100% attention to what you're saying and what you're thinking, and to guide you along the process of exploring your options without offering advice, with just expressing the encouragement that you know the best answer for you. I think that that's key. And as Dawn mentioned, being a mentor will make you a better leader, because that practice of being aware of listening and not being so quick to make the decision, offer advice, is key. Who wouldn't love to have a leader who just expressed encouragement and took the time to listen to your thought process and challenged you?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for summarizing that piece of things. I think that is so powerful. Kristen, Dawn, Judy, thanks to all three of you. Thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. I hope, listeners, that you can feel this is way more than a book. This is a generous community. Maybe you have a question from today. You want to carry on the conversation. You need some support. You're curious about mentorship. Come on down into the show notes. I have all of our authors hooked up with their links. Please go explore what they're up to. They're there to really offer some of that support and help guide that next step. And of course, we would love for you to hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of Mentorship Mastery. I have the link down below for you. Lastly, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.